Hi, how are you? We are gonna tell you a little bit about the most important thing that happened. It happened just now, and it was that the nuclear test ban treaty has officially came into force. So today, in October 10, the nuclear test ban treaty has officially started working, and the people or the countries that do not follow this treaty will have repercussions from today on. So, we are gonna first tell you what is the nuclear test ban theory for those of you that don't know. The first thing we are gonna tell you is who did it, then why it was done, then we are gonna tell you about the mutual destruction theory. After that, we are gonna tell you what were the main terms in the treaty, and finally, we are gonna tell you a little bit about the effects of the not test ban treaty.
First of all, let's start with what was it. So the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty is an international signed document that is the aim to the limit of proliferations to nuclear arms and prohibitions of distribution of the mass destruction weapons to non-nuclear states. So, in fact, the treaty was signed in Moscow on August 5th, but it has just started, and even though it prohibited testing in the atmosphere, oceans, and outer space, the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty did not complete the nuclear testing. Did not completely end the nuclear testing. There were still some restrictions, but underground testing as well is still allowed.
So, who did it? From in the UN or the United Nations, the treaty was being discussed by the US, the USSR, the UK, and some other non-nuclear weapon countries. Each of these demanded their own conditions and their own rules so for them to sign it. Once finished, it was taken to a UN General Assembly for all the signatory countries to sign it, and it started having official value.
So, why was it done? There are three main reasons. The first one being nuclear arm race. So, after seeing the impact that the race between the Soviet Union and the United States had, the nuclear arm race, the treaty wanted to stop this race and prevent future ones from going on. But on the other hand, the treaty was centering to create an atmosphere of confidence and stability between the United States and the Soviet Union during this Cold War. The second one will be environmental impact and public health. So nuclear weapon tests result in the release of large amounts of radioactive materials into the atmosphere, polluting the environment on a global scale. The nuclear test ban was supported by growing awareness of health risks posed by radioactive fallout of its potential long-term effects on human population. So the third one is humanitarian consideration that basically is about people were increasingly aware of the devastating effects of nuclear weapons and the potential humanity catastrophe and the use of cold cause. So also, one of the main effects causes story of the Banting Treaty was the mutual destruction theory. The theory of mutual destruction, also known as a mutual assured destruction, is a strategic concept that developed during the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. This theory is based on the idea that a nuclear war between two or more groups will result in the complete destruction of all parts involved. So, this theory has created a certain fear and a strategic balance between all the parties involved, and it is based on that the parties involved understand and have clear that launching a nuclear attack will result in the devastating sanctions, leading to their own destruction. So this balance of terror managed to prevent either side from starting a nuclear war, or in other words, their own self-destruction. So this theory is based on three main concepts. The first one being rational assumptions. So it assumes that both parties or more or all of them have rational decision makers who understand the concept of nuclear conflict and attacking their own better interests. The second is strike capability. It assumes that both sides are capable of doing a second attack. So even if one side throws a bomb, the other side could respond with a devastating attack as well. When launching a nuclear attack, neither side can gain and defend advantage thanks to this factor. The third one and last one being unacceptable damage. It claims that even a small nuclear exchange will cause catastrophic damage, including the destruction of major cities, families, people, critical infrastructure, millions of lives, and environment.
So, what were the main terms in the treaty? So, there are four main terms or clauses in the non-proliferation treaty. That is the same as the non-nuclear test ban treaty. So, the first one is no proliferation. So, the treaty states that the non-nuclear states couldn't, under any circumstances, develop or gain control of nuclear armament. The nuclear states also agreed to work towards the disarmament of the world. What does it mean? That a country that already has nuclear weapons cannot develop anymore, but have to work together to bring down the number of nuclear arms they have. And not only this, but also that they have the non-nuclear states or the states that do not have any nuclear weaponry have to remain at that, and they are not authorized to develop any nuclear artillery. Then we have the peaceful nuclear use. So as you know, the nuclear is also an energy source that it's very important for the development of the sustainable energy sources, and it is totally permitted to use it in peaceful manners. The third one, and probably the most important, is the disarmament. That the treaty states that the world have to work together to reach the total disarmament of nuclear weapons in all the world. This will be done by forcing the nuclear weapon states to pursue good faith negotiations toward disarmament. And finally, there is the verification. The International Atomic Energy Agency was made responsible for revising that the states complied with the rules already established and that the states were not using nuclear energy from weapon reuse, and if they were caught doing it, they would have a strong comeback. So finally, we are hoping that the fate is that the world is not gonna be ended by a nuclear weapon. That is one. The second one is that the world will become a more peaceful one to live in. And the third one is that the tensions between the main superpowers, like it is the United States and the USSR, will be a little bit lower now that they have to work together towards a common goal. Thank you very much, and remember, we are Fox News. Now we're back at the Central, and we're gonna show you a little maps and some images for you to see how important the nuclear test ban was.